and welcome back to the Be the Hero channel. I'm Isabelle and I help you feel more clarity and control of your day using the stars. Now, before I dive into today's video, which I'm super excited about because it's about my favorite placement in astrology, which is the North Node, make sure you hit the link in the description below to book your 1-hour birth chart reading with me now so you can have your reading ASAP and understand your purpose, how to manifest abundance, and also understand your own personality struggles. All in the link in the description below. Book a reading with me now. Today, I want to talk about not only the North Node, but specifically what it means to have another planet with your North Node. Now, for those who don't know, the North Node is not necessarily a planet in your astrological birth chart, but a point. It is a point on the moon's orbit. And what this North Node represents is your highest path to growth in this lifetime. It also represents, in many ways, your purpose. Not only is your purpose to embrace all of your chart, but specifically embrace the North Node, which is the hardest thing for us to embrace. The North Node goes hand in hand with the South Node. They are yin and yang, polar opposites. And so with that in mind, the North Node and the South Node always have opposite placements. If you have a North Node in Aries, your South Node will be in Libra, and vice versa. The North Node is our highest growth, whereas the South Node is what we have already mastered in our past life. Now, keep in mind, oftentimes people get in astrology confused thinking the South Node is something they have to completely forego. But the South Node is really something that just we use in excess, and the North Node is what we embrace to balance it out. I apologize for the subtle camera shake. I have a really bad tripod, and it has not really yet occurred to me that I should get a new one. If it really bugs you guys, let me know in the comments below and I'll get a new one. But it'll shake regardless if I do the subtlest movement. So the South Node and North Node, their highest path to growth and our overused gifts and talents. The South Node is things you've mastered. They can help you in your journey. They help you learn to embrace your North Node because while they are polar opposites, those opposites have something in common. And that is what makes them opposing, is that they are the same thing from a different view, is how I like to think of it. So this North Node, this point in your chart, very, very powerful. It helps you understand your purpose, and by embracing it, you elevate your frequency, which then makes it easier to manifest, and you feel like you're living your purpose. This is not necessarily always career. Purpose and career are not the same thing. Now, this North Node point is also, and the South Node, in a sign and a house. For example, my North Node is in Taurus and in my 5th house. And with that in mind, our other planets are also in different placements as well. So maybe you have your sun in Aries, and it is very, very powerful if you have another planet, whether it's Venus or Mars, in the same sign as your North Node, and if it's in the same house. I use the Placidus system, so it's not always in the same house. Whole sign is good. I just personally prefer Placidus. So with that in mind, you may have it in the same sign, not in the same house. So in this video, I'm going to break down and go through some of the primary planets, most likely the big 5. I haven't decided yet how many I'm going to go through. It depends on how long this video goes and how long I feel like talking. I'm going to go through, though, some placements I've noticed when they are in, if the North Node and another planet are in the same, and what that means. Because if you have a planet in the same sign as your North Node, there's a focus on that planet's energies for your purpose journey and your growth journey. It also means that's going to feel a little bit harder to embrace given the fact that it's in your North Node, which is the thing that feels the most unfamiliar and uncomfortable. You may feel like you can embrace this part of you, but quite easily, potentially, but to do it feels wrong, and so you resist. And so there's this weird energy of knowing what you must do, but feeling like you shouldn't. So let's start off with talking about what it means for my own chart. Instead of going through normal Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, let's just go in a little bit of a random order, and I will put in the link, in the description below, links to parts of the video where you can jump to different planets in the same North Node placement. So before I even dive in actually to my own placement, to know if you have a planet in the same sign as your North Node, first find your North Node. You can do this by looking at the table chart that is often referenced when you get a birth chart interpretation. Or you can look to your wheel and look for basically a horseshoe or a rainbow. It'll have two circles and an arch above. This symbol is your North Node, and find the sign it's in. If, for example, it's in Libra, that's your North Node, obviously. And you can also reference what house it's in, but it's not necessarily as important. This video is going to cover what it means to have it in the same sign, because the sign energy is going to play more of a primary role here. So find your North Node, look for the sign it's in, and then see if you have any other planets there too. Again, you can just by simply using the table. If your North Node is in Taurus and you see that your Venus is in Taurus as well, then they're in the same sign. Simple as that. Just look if there's a commonality. So for me, I have my North Node in Taurus in my 5th house. With my North Node in Taurus, there's a focus on learning to be more self-sufficient, learning to be more grounded, learning to be more stable. My Venus is also here. So if your North Node is in the same, if Venus and the North Node are in the same sign, English is getting harder here. If they're in the same sign, for me that means, and for you it means, there is a focus for you on learning to embrace divine feminine energy. And the way you embrace that will be dependent on the sign it's in. For me, there's a lot of feminine energy to be found within me and to be embraced by focusing on my stability and enjoying creature comforts. The more I allow myself to indulge in life and build financial security and physical security in order to enjoy life, the more I'm stepping into my purpose. And in return, I can teach people this as well. So our North Node is something we're learning to embrace in ourselves. And the way it's also our purpose is that we, by doing so, show other people how to do it themselves. Now, it may not be the biggest part of their journey, but we teach people that aspect in which we have mastered. That is our purpose. Our purpose is to live. Our purpose is to learn. Our purpose is to teach. And so if you have a North Node in the same sign as your Venus, your growth journey is a lot about learning to step into your divine feminine energy. I did do a video about your divine feminine archetype, so if this is the case that your North Node and Venus are in the same sign, definitely check out that video. If you're a female with this placement, you're probably someone who has really learned masculine energy. And if by some chance your North Node and Venus are in Cancer or in your 4th house, learning to be feminine is going to be really, really hard for you because you're used to being strong, masculine, independent, work hard, girl boss. If you're a man with feminine energy, or if a man with Venus and your North Node in the same sign, then there's a journey for you still around learning feminine energy. Everyone has masculine and feminine. And so in the case of the male, it's going to feel more like learning to soften, be receptive, and receive. You may be someone who's very controlling, very strong, very assertive, and you're learning to soften. If you have your North Node and the Moon in the same sign, then your journey is a lot about learning how to step into your emotions and navigate emotions accurately or in a more stable fashion. And the reason I say that is because the Moon sign is our emotions. And it's something that's very primal within us. We all naturally, what makes us human, we embrace emotions. Now, every zodiac sign has a high frequency and a low frequency. For example, my Moon's in Cancer, and the lowest frequency is protective, fearful, overly focused on security and material, wanting to seek a home, very codependent. Whereas the high frequency is like the divine maternal archetype, being motherly to all, but also nurturing myself, being one with the feeling of care and softness and gentility. I think those are all right words. Point is, if your Moon is in your North Node, you are likely to have a struggle to embrace your emotions, or if you do, you embrace it in negative ways. Simply, maybe when you feel like you embrace your emotions, you feel negative all the time. And so if your North Node is in the same sign as your moon, your journey is learning how to cultivate a positive emotional frequency. For example, Robin here at Be the Hero Academy, my mom, she has her North Node and her moon in Scorpio. And this can feel for her like, oh, it's so easy for me to embrace my emotions. So now once she has that, now she's learning to step into the highest frequency of Scorpio. How can she alchemize others' pains and her own emotional pains? How can she be focused on transformation rather than conflict? How can she navigate her emotions continuously in a positive manner? Similar things apply regardless of the sign that your moon and North Node are in if you have these in the same sign. Overall, this means you have a journey around connecting to emotions positively. If you have your moon and if you have your North Node and your sun in the same sign, there's a focus for you on learning to embrace your own values, embrace your strength. Because the sun is our ego self, which to embrace my ego sounds so conceited, when really the sun is also what gives us our core energy. It's our core values. I simply like to explain the sun as it shows our values towards life. So life is best lived when blank. For me, I'm an Aries, so life is best lived when doing new things. And so if your North Node and your sun are in the same sign, I'm going to guess that you are a lower energy person. You don't often feel empowered or bold or confident, or even that sense of where ego could form of owning yourself, or even having a persona that you show to other people. This phone bouncing is really driving me crazy. But if you have your North Node and the sun in the same sign, you have a focus on learning to be more powerful, to embrace your energy, even if that's in a passive sign like Pisces or Cancer. You're probably someone who tries to disassociate from what they feel at their core, what they value, what they want to be like. And so your journey is to learn to embrace these simplest aspects of yourself, to embrace the core of who you are, and to live up to your core values. I'm going to take a moment to pause. If you say you have your South Node and your North Node in the same sign, quickly, you're wrong. They are always going to be opposite of each other. I will do a series soon, though, on what it means to have your South Node and a planet in the same sign, if you guys recommend it in the comments below. If you have your North Node and your Mars in the same sign, you have a focus in your growth journey on taking action. This is very similar to having, in my view, having your North Node in your 6th house. You have to actually take physical action, and that might be something that's hard for you. Or if you take physical action, you might be doing it in a way that is draining to you rather than making you feel stronger. Somewhat similar to the sun and North Node in the same, but very, very different. Your journey is around learning to take physical action. So look to the sign your Mars is in, because this is going to be highly important for this placement to understand what kind of action you need to take. Are you taking action in alignment with your soul? And are you learning to act in according to your strengths? Our Mars is the way we like to act in the world, and it's also our masculine energy. So if you're a man with a North Node and Mars in the same sign, you're probably very unfamiliar with your masculine energy. You may have wounds with your masculine energy, feeling like you had a controlling or abusive or overpowering father or an absent father. You're just unfamiliar and uncomfortable with masculine energy, and so you're here to learn that. If you're a woman with your Mars in your North Node in the same sign, there's still that focus. You may have felt like absent father energy. You don't know what masculine energy is supposed to feel like. Even if you're a very macho person, men or women, if you feel like you're embracing your masculine energy, are you embracing unhealthy masculine energy? This North Node placement is all about learning the healthy side of masculine, which then also means taking physical action, doing the tasks. If your Mercury and North Node are in the same sign, this is actually one I feel that I've seen quite a bit. And there's a huge focus for these people on learning to communicate clearly. And I think to have this placement of Mercury in your North Node is really mind-boggling, and for those who have this placement, can feel extremely challenging, more so than the other North Node placements. Maybe I'm wrong. Tell me in the comments below. Do you feel like your North Node placement is hard? Regardless, all North Nodes feel a bit challenging because they're unfamiliar. But with the Mercury in the same sign as the North Node, you have a focus on learning to communicate and to communicate in positive ways. All of these placements, regardless of what planet is with your North Node, it's not just about embracing it, it's about embracing it positively. We all know we can communicate in positive, negative ways. We can act in positive and negative ways. We can be feminine or masculine in, positive or negative ways. We can act on our emotions in positive and negative ways. Our sign can be ego or power. There's differences. So each of these is about learning to embrace the positive side of it. So if your Mercury is here, you're learning to communicate in positive ways, not reactive ways, to be intentional with your word. Communication can probably feel really hard for you. Learning can feel really hard for you. You may feel like you have a mental block often in life. Very similar in a way to having your North Node on the 3rd house, 9th house axis. But still different, because this is quite literally about how you communicate and how you learn. And so how you speak to others and how you learn can feel very hard. This also could imply that there is a journey for you around writing, around reading, around teaching, because you deal with the mind or psychology. Let's see. Let's do as a wrap up. I know I didn't do Saturn and Jupiter, but if you guys want videos on that, let me know in the comments below. But to finish it up, I want to do one that I've actually seen very, very, very often. So I saved it best for last. Your North Node is in the same sign as your Pluto. And I'm going to actually do a whole separate video on this to go even deeper, because to have these in the same sign is powerful. If your North Node is in the same sign as Pluto, Pluto is the planet of death, destruction, and rebirth. So keep in mind, it's not just destroying, it's destroying for a cause. Like we burn forests to help them regrow, like all things, winter, dark night of the soul, so we can rise, so we can spring, so we can bloom. Pluto represents death to the self, death to others, death to life around us, to birth something new, and it also represents karma and trauma. Pluto does not move often. It just moved into Aquarius, which is a huge deal for our society, for our world. It's bringing innovative energy. We're leaving behind old authoritarian systems. It is going to return into Capricorn one last time, so be prepared. I will probably do a video on it. I just keep forgetting. But Pluto in our chart represents our wounds. So, for example, most millennials have their Pluto in Scorpio. And what that means is that there's issues where they felt, all of us, all millennials, not me, I'm Gen Z, that there was instability and emotional volatility in their household. And so they were raised now with feelings that they have to be codependent on someone, or they want to find someone to lean on to make up for that feeling of lack of emotional connection and physical connection in their home life. They felt that when emotion was expressed, it was volatile and wounded and hurt rather than nurturing and caring and connected. There's a lot of wounds in intimacy for this generation too. So that's because of Pluto in Scorpio. So if you have a North Node in Scorpio and you're born in that millennial age group, which based off of, the North Node moves every 18 months. I don't even know if that's possible. But if for some reason you have that, you can feel like this resonates, that if you have, in short, your North Node and Pluto in the same sign, you are here to break generational trauma. Like I said, Pluto has to deal with massive wounds. And so if you have Pluto in the same sign, you have a lot of healing work to do. Not only personally, but by doing so personally, you're going to affect your family, the collective. You're here to help yourself heal and then help others heal, to break the wounds, break the pattern. This is a very powerful energy because Pluto is death and destruction. So you may feel that you have to completely recreate yourself. And to do that is very scary. if this isn't on top of it, your 8th house, you have a lot of work to do in your intimate relationships, and you're definitely diving deep. But overall, the Pluto North Node placement together really puts a focus on healing and deep healing. Not just, oh, I love myself, but why do I feel so screwed up? And where did this come from? How far back does it go? So having a planet in the same sign as your North Node is so impactful, and understanding not only what it means to have those two together, but understanding the sign it's in shows you the complete picture. You have to understand the sign it's in and the house, which is why I've kind of mentioned them each, but to go into the specific interpretations would have taken forever. So hit the link in the description below if you want to understand your North Node, to break your karmic patterns, to understand your purpose, to live your purpose, to heal and to grow. If these all sound like things you want, then book a reading with me in the link in the description below where we can dive deep, and let me know in the comments below, and I will be sure to film videos on it soon. But if you actually want to understand your own unique situation, these videos, they do show the whole picture of the placement, but they do not show you the whole picture of you, because you have to see your whole chart to know how it's all playing on each other. If you have a North Node and Venus in the same sign, but your Mars is different from someone else's, it's going to play out differently for you. So book a reading so you can get the whole picture of your purpose, your struggles, and your life path. Link is in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and stay tuned for more videos breaking down the stars. Let me know what you want to see in the comments below. Once again, my name's Isabelle, and from my heart to yours, namaste.